Hello, students, and welcome to Algebra today. We will start with our do now, where we have an interesting question about forgiveness. Hard to give and sometimes hard to receive. Our objective will be to continue working with the distributive property, and our essential questions are: what does distribute mean and what operation is involved? What rules do I use when I'm distributing integers, those positive and negative numbers? We will, for our assignment, complete the do now, the work page, the exit ticket, and remember, show your work to the teacher. If you don't finish everything in class, most people do, but if you don't, that's okay. You can just finish it for homework. And remember, the good habits you build now will serve you well in high school. So we're going to get back to our exit ticket in a minute. But let's think about this do now question. Does forgiving someone mean that what they did is okay? What does forgiving mean? So, somebody forgives you or you forgive somebody, they apologize for something they did to you, and then you forgive, and you think, gosh, I still feel hurt, or they still did it. Forgiveness is a step toward mending the relationship, and it's a step toward reconciliation and making you whole as the one who got hurt. But it doesn't always mean that what they did was okay. There are times when somebody says or does something, and there's a circumstance in their life that caused that to happen, and we can't blame them for that. But other times we just are not at our best, and we're maybe hurtful or unkind. So if we ask for forgiveness, if we apologize and say please forgive me, that doesn't necessarily, I don't think, make it okay, but it's a step toward mending the relationship. So I'd like to hear what you think about that, and you can answer that right here. So today we're working a little bit more on the distributive property. So we're going to solve these equations, making sure that we show our work. So to distribute means to multiply. So we're going to multiply 4 times the quantity 4 plus 2n, which equals 64. After we distribute, we will solve the equation. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 2, when they're both positive, is positive 8. And we have that n equals 64. Now, what is happening to 8n? Well, 16 is being added. So we're going to use the inverse operation of subtracting 16. And whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So that will give us 8n equals 48. And then we will divide both sides of this equation, this 8n minus 48. We will divide both sides by 8, and we will have n equals 6. And if we substitute 6 for n in our original problem, we will ensure that this equation and this answer checks. So number 2, we have negative 5 times the quantity of 4 minus 5x equals 130. So we need to distribute negative times positive 4 and a negative times negative 5x. So let's do that. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. Negative 5 times negative 5x is a positive 25x, and all of that equals 130. So now we want to isolate the 25x, so we're going to move the 20 to the other side of the equation by adding it, which is the inverse of subtraction. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. And now I have 25x equals 150. So if we divide 25x by 25, and we divide 150 by 25, then we know that x equals 6. And number 3, negative 5 is being multiplied by negative 4a minus 5, and all of that equals 105. So negative 5 times negative 4 is a positive 20a. Negative 5 times negative 5 is a positive 25. and all of that equals 105. So we want to isolate this 20a. So we have plus 25. We're going to subtract 25 from both sides. And we're left with 20a equals 80. Now 20, or a, excuse me, is being multiplied by 20, so we will divide by 20. Whatever we do to one side of the equation, we will do to the other. 20 over 20 equal 1, so that isolates our a, and a equals 4. 80 divided by 20 is 4. In number 4, we have 72 equals negative 3 times the quantity of 5x minus 6. So we're going to distribute that negative 3 through the 5x, positive 5x, and the positive 6. So let's do that. So 72 equals negative 3 times 5 is negative 15x plus, well, I think it's going to be minus because we're multiplying a negative by a positive. So minus negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. So we want to isolate the 15x, so we're going to move 18 to the other side of the equation. It's being subtracted, so I will add, and whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. And on the left side of this equation, I have 90. And on the right side of the equation, I have negative 15x. And this is where I ask, what is happening to x? X is being multiplied by negative 15, which means I will divide by negative 15. And whatever I do to one side of the equation, I will do to the other. So now I've isolated my x, and 15 goes into 90 6 times. So that's 90 divided by negative 15, negative 6. Number 5, we have negative 65 equals 6 times the quantity of b minus 5 plus b. So we're going to distribute 6 through this quantity of b minus 5 by multiplying it by b and by negative 5. So we have negative 65. 6 times b, they're both positive, is positive 6b. Positive 6 times a negative 5 is negative 30, and we still have plus b. So now what we need to do is combine like terms. This should be an equal sign. Okay, let's get back to the blue. So we can combine 6b plus 1b to give us 7b plus or minus 30, not plus 30, it's minus 30. And on the right side, we have negative 65. So we want to isolate the 7b, but 30 is being subtracted. So in order to move 30 over, we will add it to both the left side and the right side of this equation. So on the right side, we have 7b, and on the left side, we have negative 35. Now, what's happening to b is it's being multiplied by 7, so we will divide by 7, again doing on the left side whatever we did to the right side. So we divide by 7, and that isolates our b, which equals negative 5. 35 divided by 7 is 5, and a negative times a positive is a negative. And in number 6, we have negative 2 minus 5. That minus 5 is going to be multiplied by 2x plus 4, and all of that equals negative 72. So let's get started. Negative 2. Now, negative 5 times 2x is negative 10x. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. And that all of that equals negative 72. So let's combine like terms. We have negative 2 minus 20, which equal negative 22. And then we have minus 10x equals negative 72. And now we're going to isolate that negative 10x, so we will add 22 to both sides of this equation. So we have negative 10x equals, now negative 72 plus 22 is 50, negative 50. And now we have negative 10x is being negative 10 is being multiplied by x, so we will divide by negative 10 both sides, which isolates our x, and x equals a positive 5. Negative divided by negative is positive, so 50 divided by 10 is 5. Okay, so let's look at number 7. Let's move the page down. 5x minus 2 times the quantity of x minus 1 equals 8. So it's this negative 2, we're multiplying it by x, and we're multiplying it by negative 1. So 5x, negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 1 is a positive 2, equals 8. And we have some like terms in the form of these x terms, 5x minus 2x, which is 3x, plus 2 equals 8. Now let's take that 2 and subtract it out from both sides to balance this equation. So we have 3x equals 6, and now x is being multiplied by 3. We will divide x by 3. Whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. And x is isolated, and x equals 6 over 3, or when simplified, it equals 2. Number 8, we have 3 multiplied by the quantity of m minus 2 plus 4m equals 8. So 3 times m equals 3m. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Then we have that plus 4m equals 8. So let's look at what we can combine. We can combine 3m plus 4m for 7m minus 6 equals 8. And we can also isolate 7m by adding 6 to both sides of the equation. And that gives us 7m equals 14. Now we'll divide both sides of the equation by 7, so we can isolate m. And we see that m equals 2. 14 divided by 7 is 2. Last couple of problems. So we have negative 2y plus 5, which is multiplied by the quantity y minus 6, and all of that equals 6. So let's begin to distribute. So we have negative 2y plus 5y, positive times negative minus 30 equals 6. And I can combine negative 2y plus 5y, which would give me 3y minus 30 equals 6. And now I need to add 30 to both sides of this equation so that I can isolate the 3y. And now I need to divide both sides of the equation by 3, because that's what y is being multiplied by. And we get y equals 12. 36 divided by 3 is 12. And finally, number 10, 2x minus 3, and that minus 3 is going to be multiplied by the quantity of 2x minus 3. And then we're going to add 4 to that, and all of that equals 33. So 2x minus 3 times 2x is negative 6x, minus 3 times 3, negative 3, is positive 9, because a negative times a negative is a positive. And then we have that plus 4 equals 33. So now we have to look at combining like terms. 2x minus 6x is negative 4x. 9 plus 4 equals a positive 13. So, and all of that equals 33. So now we want to isolate 4x, so we're going to subtract 13 from both sides of the equation, which leaves us negative, with negative 4x equals 20. And now that x is being multiplied by negative 4, we will divide by negative 4. And again, whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. And we have x equals negative 5. So be careful of those negatives and positives. You have a little extra. You can, because we're talking about apologies today and forgiveness, you can make an apology card to apologize for someone, or you can find words from the letters in the word forgiveness. Thought those would be fun for you. And then our exit ticket today: when I distribute a negative sign through a quantity, the signs of the terms inside the parentheses change. And that's what the negative sign outside a quantity in parentheses does. It changes the sign of everything inside the parentheses. So excellent work. Notice you work a lot faster and you focus a lot better and you understand this better when you keep those phones put away. So today I'm going to say practice and keep those phones away, because when you do, you'll be great.